Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a layout using CSS grid with Webflow. So we're going to take this design right here that I found on Pinterest and we're going to design this on Webflow. So we're going to use a method called CSS grid. So with CSS grid, you can actually design grids just like this. So this is a website that I'm currently working on with Webflow, and it's really easy to put together all of these little grid systems right here. And I'm not going to be showing you how to put in the content. I'm just going to show you how to put in this grid system, which is the structure of the website. So first thing is we're going to put this into Photoshop and we're going to measure the size of each one of these grids right here, and then we're going to lay out this grid on Webflow. So here's a screenshot of the website inside Photoshop. So this isn't going to be a detailed video on how to use Photoshop. I've got some videos on that in the description below. So I've got this layer right here. I'm just going to rename this to Web Design, and I'm going to create a new layer and I'm just going to call this Vertical Grid. And I'm going to choose the selection tool and I'm going to select this grid right here. This is the smallest grid on the vertical axis. So what I'm going to do is just choose the selection tool and just draw a box right around it. And I'm going to choose a color that doesn't exist within this image, like a green color. So let's choose the paint bucket tool and choose a green color, and let's paint that in. So that just makes it easy to see. And let's zoom out. And I'm just going to lower the opacity of the vertical grid layer so we can actually see the website behind the box. So now what I'm going to do is create another extra copy of the vertical grid layer. And let's move that over to the next grid right here. And make sure there's like a line just between each box so we can actually see it. So you don't need to resize it. Make sure you don't resize the box. It should be the same size throughout the entire image. So let's create another copy. So this time I want extra copies of this. So I'm actually going to group both of these layers together. So I'm going to select them all and group them together. And I'm just going to call it vertical. I'm just going to call it 2 vertical grids. And let's create a copy of both of those. And let's move them over here. So make sure there's a line right here. So looks like there's an extra gap right here, and it looks like it's actually just 1/2 of this box. So this grid is just 2 boxes plus a half. So let's make another copy of this and move it over. And I'm just going to delete 1/2. So let's just select 1/2 of this and hit delete. And let's do that again for the next box. I'm going to create another extra copy of the 2 vertical grids. Let's move that over. Oops, let me just do that again. Cool. And it looks like this time it's 1/4 of this box right here. So again, just like before, I'm going to make an extra copy and move it over, and I'm just going to delete 3/4 of this box right here. So let's just zoom out a little bit and choose the selection tool and hit delete. So let's measure this larger box right here. So I'm going to create another extra copy of the 2 vertical grids, and let's move that over. And let's create another one. So it looks like this one would be just 2 of these boxes put together, plus a little bit more. Oh, actually, yeah, I think this is just maybe 2 of these boxes put together. I think we have that little gap right there because we haven't been perfectly accurate with those border lines. So I'm going to assume that this one is just 4 of these boxes put together. So now if you actually hide the web design layer, you can see the vertical grids of this website. So that's how you measure the grid of a web design. So now you can actually take this and put this into Webflow and start designing the layout of your website. But we still need to do the horizontal grid of this web design. So let's do the same thing with the horizontal lines. So I'm just going to group all of these vertical grids together, and I'm just going to name this one vertical. And let's create an extra layer, and let's start with this bottom grid right here. So I'm just going to hide the vertical grids so it's easy to see. So let's choose the selection tool and select this section right here. So let's just zoom out a little bit. And again, you don't need to be perfectly accurate. You just need to get a rough measurement of how much percentage each of these grids are taking up of the entire image. So let's paint this in green, and just like before, we're going to lower the opacity, and we're also going to rename this to, I'm just going to name this horizontal grid. And let's create an extra copy of this. So let's measure how big this box is right here. And it looks like it's pretty much about maybe about twice the size of this, but let's just make sure. Actually, it's about 1.75 of this box right here. So what I'm going to do is just zoom out and let's delete this section right here. So I'm also going to make a group for these two boxes right here. Let's just make that a group, and let's also make this a group right here as well. So I'm just going to rename this to horizontal grid 1, and also make this to horizontal grid 2. So you just need to make sure that you keep the measurement of this first grid right here, because that's what we use to measure everything else. So let's make an extra copy of the next group, which is the rest of this box right here, which is the biggest box within this image, within this design. So let's move this over to the top, and I'm going to keep making an extra copy of this. So let's just make another copy like this, make sure there's a line there, and make another one, and another one. And what I'm going to do is just paste them all together. So let's just copy 4 of them together, and for the last one I'm just going to do just one more, and it looks like it's about half of that. So let's just delete the top half right here. So now we've got the horizontal grids. So let's reveal the vertical grids, and let's also group the horizontal grids together. And I'm going to hide the web design. So now you can kind of see the grids right here. It'll be easier to see if you just put a black background. So I'm just going to create a new layer, and now you can see the grids. So this is the grid system that we're going to lay out on Webflow, and then we're going to design this website within Webflow. So here we are in Webflow. So this is the Webflow designer, and it's actually free to use. So if you go to webflow.com and sign up for a free account, you can design 2 websites for free. So this is a blank template. So let's add in a new section. So click on this little plus icon here, and let's just drag and drop a new section. So here's a new section, and let's make this the height of the section 100% of the height of the screen size. So whatever the screen size is, it's going to be the height of that screen size. So under size right here, there's this section right here called minimum height. So that's MINH. So that stands for minimum height. So I'm just going to type in 100 VH. So 100 VH just makes it 100% of the screen size height. So this will adapt to every single screen size, whether it's a mobile phone or a tablet or a smaller laptop or a desktop. So make sure you have the minimum height set on 100 VH. So next we want to add in some grids into this section. So let's click on, so where it says layout right here, click on this little grid icon, and make sure you have this section selected as well. You'll see these 4 boxes come up. So this is where you put in the different grid systems, the different sizes of the grid systems, and all of that. So let's go back to our grids size that we measured right here. So one of these, so let's just do the vertical lines first. So one of these is equal to 1. So there's 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and this is 0.5. There's another 1, and 0.25. So that's how I'm going to measure this. And we measure this with a measurement called FR. So I'm not actually sure what FR stands for, but that's what we use to measure these grid systems. So first I'm just going to lower the size of these gaps right here. So you can just simply just drag these out and make them 0. And let's add in a few more of these grids. So right here under edit grid, you can just click on duplicate. That just duplicates more vertical lines. So that's the columns. And for the rows, you can also duplicate more columns for the rows as well. But let's just work with the columns for now. which is the vertical lines. So I'm just going to add in a few more. So that's 1, 2, 3, 6, that's 9 of them right here. So let's just count how many ones there are here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's 10. So we've got 9 of them here. Let me just count. Yeah, so there's one more. So that's it. So now we just need to add in a 0.5 and a 0.25 right here. So I'm just going to make another one, and I'm going to click on this one right here, and I'm going to change the measurement of this to 0.5. So we've got a 0.5 right here, and that should be, so from this grid system that we measured, that's right after the fourth box from the right. So that should be right here. So there we go. So that's in the right spot. So let's create another one, and this one should be 0.25. So let's move this one to, so this one should be the fifth one from the left. So let's move that right here. There we go. So I think that looks right just there. So let's just zoom out, and I'm just going to hide the vertical lines, and let's just zoom out a little bit. Let's just double check all of this. So that looks right. So 0.5 here, 0.25 here. Let's go back to Webflow. 0.5 here, 0.25 here. So that looks good. So now let's do the horizontal lines. So let's go back to Photoshop, and I'm just going to hide the vertical lines. So we've got just this one right here. So we've got one here, and this is 0.75. And the rest are all just ones, and then at the top there's 0.5. So I'm just going to add 1, 2, there should be 7 of them here, and one 0.5 and one 0.75. So let me just show you quickly. So I'm going to add, so there's already 2 rows automatically, and it says auto right here. I'm just going to change the measurement of that to 1 FR, and this one should also be 1 FR. And let's duplicate this 7 times. So that's 3 so far, and one more. Cool. So we've got that right here. So let's duplicate another one, and I'm just going to change the measurement of this to 0.75. Cool. So let's move this above, just above the second one, which is where it was. Yep. So that's this right here. And let's do another one, which is 0.5, and that should be at the top. So let's duplicate another one and change the measurement to 0.5. There we go. And let's move this one right to the top. So there's the measurement. So there's the grid system right here. Now we just need to start adding in the different colors and borders to this grid system. So if I click on done, you'll see these gray boxes right here. Now what we need to do is create the different areas. So if I look at the website, so the original, whoops, let me just go back to Photoshop, the original web design, you can see there's different areas. So there's this white area here, there's a red area here, yellow, and 2 more white areas. So we need to create these areas. So that's simple to do. So let's go back to Webflow, and let's start editing the grid again. So if you click on this little pink icon, you can just start editing the grid again. So the first area, it just goes all the way down to this bottom part right here. So that's about, let me just turn on the grid again. So that's just above the 0.75 section right here. So let's go back, and if you hover over each of these sections, there's this little plus icon that comes up. So each of these little boxes. So if you click on that plus button, it comes up with this little area. So what you can do with this area is you can just drag and drop this and create new areas. So the first area was just up to here, which is 0.75. Let's go back and let me just check that one more time. So yeah, that was right here, and then up to the 0.25 right here, which is what we've done. Great. Now the next one is this area, which is just up to, so let me just move all of this to the top so it's actually easier to see. Let's just group them together. There we go. So that should be just after this section right here. So let me just create another area right here and drag and drop this to this section. Another section which should be up to here, and one more here, which is the longer grid. and another one here as well. So you can see it automatically names all of these areas, area 1, area 2, 3, 4, and 5, and so on. So let's check the next area, which is this box right here, which is 2 grid lines from 0.75 to 1 FI here. So let's drag and drop this here, another one here, and let's check one more. That should be 2 boxes, 2 smaller boxes right here. There's another one here and 2 smaller boxes right here. So at least I think that's what it is. Yep, it should be just right. So right now you might be thinking this doesn't really look square like this one here, but that will look better once we kind of stretch out this screen size. So usually screen sizes aren't like this, it's kind of a square right here. So next let's check this one, which is just one long box, horizontal box. So that's easy to do. Let's just drag this out all the way here. So then you just click on done and you can see the different areas now. And if I click on this little preview icon, you can't really see that now because we haven't really put in the borders yet, but you can see in the preview we created the different grid areas, and now we just need to start adding in the different colors and the different borders to bring out this web design right here. So let's start by adding in some borders. So let's choose this section right here and let's add in a border right around this entire section. So let's scroll down to the borders and let's choose a solid border. You can also choose a dashed line or a dotted line, but I'm just going to add in a solid border. So let's give it a 7 pixel border and choose a black color and hit enter. So now we have a border just right around this section. So I'm also going to add a border around these lines as well. So let's choose a div block. So we need to add a div block in here and give it a border. So choose the element icon and click and drag a div block right here. So we have a div block in there now. So let's scroll down to the border section again, choose solid, and let's give it a border of 7. Now you'll notice now there's 2 borders. There's the border of this section and border of this div block. So there's a thick line right here. So we need to get rid of the border right here of this div block. So if you choose the left side of this border and just choose none, and choose the top part of this border and choose none again. So now that looks much better. So now let's drag and drop another div block into this area. And you might notice that the size of this div block is different now. So if I drag and drop this into this section right here, you can see the size isn't the same. So I'm not sure why Webflow actually does this. It doesn't just automatically pick up the size of this area, so you have to do it manually. So just choose that div block and choose area, and under select choose area 2, which is this area right here. So now it automatically picks up the size of that area and it adapts to that area. Now you just do the same thing, go to the borders, choose a solid border, and I'm going to give it a pixel of 7 and choose the bottom part and give it a pixel of 7. There we go. And now you just do the same thing to all of these other borders right here as well. So to all of these other areas right here as well. So let's go back to this one, and just like before, it's not going to automatically put the div block into this area. Sometimes it even puts it at the bottom. So I'm just going to drag this into this div block and choose the area again. So this one's area 3, and let's go down to the borders and let's give it a solid border of 7 on the bottom, and on the right hand side give it another solid border of 7. So I'm just going to speed up the video and do the rest of this rest of these areas here. So there's all the borders, and you can see the website is starting to come along. So I'm just going to publish this, and let's just preview this website quickly. And let's just click on the preview button right here, and you can see the grid line starting to come along. So now it looks quite similar to the original web design that we're trying to go for. So now all we need to do is just add some of those colors, and we can start getting, we pretty much already got the grid system, but if we just add in the colors, it will look much more like this web design right here. So let's get the color of these boxes right here. So the first one is just a normal red. So I'm just going to copy that red right here. And let's go back to Webflow, and let's add it into this box right here. So I'm going to click out of the preview, and let's choose this div block, and let's scroll down to backgrounds right here, and under colors, double click on that and paste in the color code right here. And there's the first color. And let's do the same thing with the yellows. So that should be this one right here. Actually, I'm just going to put in all the reds first, so like this red right here. So let's go back to Webflow again, and let's choose this div block, and let's add in that red color. Next, let's do the yellows. So I'm going to choose the color picker tool and choose this yellow color, copy the color code, and let's go back to Webflow, and let's choose this div block. Let's paste that in, and for this one, same thing, paste in the yellow right here. Oops, that's not the right one, so I think I selected the entire section. Should be, oh, I actually haven't added a div block into this section, so that's my mistake. So let me just quickly add in a div block right inside this section, and let's put in the yellow color in there. And let's do the blue colors, which is just these two boxes right here, the smaller boxes. And let's copy the color code, and let's choose this div block. There we go, and let's choose the next one. And this block right here should be black. I think it's black here. Yep, actually both of those blocks are black right there. So let's go back to Webflow, choose this one, choose a black color, and this one, and choose a black color. And I think that's it, but let's just make sure. Yep, that's it. So let me go back to Webflow here, and let's see what this all looks like after we publish this. So it's already starting to look like Mondrian's paintings right here, which is what this web design is based on. So let's preview this, and there we go. There's our grids. So originally we started off with this web design right here, and we took all of these sizes of these grids, and we have a working grid system within a web browser. So that's how you build grid systems using Webflow and the CSS grid systems. If you have any questions, make sure you comment down below, and I'll reply to you as soon as I can. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps out this channel. And thank you for 100 subscribers, and I'm trying to reach 1,000, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.